How about some trust stories? It's probably about that time in the week when you are just tired of studying and you just need an uplifting story. Well, I mentioned yesterday, we need to remember what God has done in the past for his church and specifically in our lives so that our memory helps to serve our trust in the Lord, that we can exercise our trust and become stronger. I was just doing some meditation last night and this morning on the ways that the Lord has increased my trust through the stories of my life and the stories of his church. I always want to grow in trust. I always want to increase and strengthen my relationship with the Lord through trust. And so I want to share with you some of those stories. One of those is the story of John of the Cross. John of the Cross is a Carmelite monk who was asked to reform his order, asked to bring his Carmelite order into a greater faithfulness of God. And in the midst of that, he built a new monastery. One day, one of the cooks came to him and said, "We don't have enough food for tomorrow. Like, we're not going to make it through tomorrow." And John of the Cross said something that was so faithful. He said, "Tomorrow's so far away." Do we ever say that? I mean, he was putting his trust so much in God, saying, allow the Lord to act. Like, there's still time left. And the Lord is faithful. And if he's asked me to build this monastery and provide for this community, he will provide. Well, the very next day, a wealthy man showed up and knocked on the door of the monastery with a wagon load of food. And he said he had a dream the night before. He had a dream that he was supposed to become a benefactor of that monastery and start to provide for them. The Lord was asking them to increase their trust. I remember stories in my own life. I remember when I was younger, I had an aunt and an uncle who were recently married, and money was tight as it is for young couples who just get married. And they went to Mass that weekend, and they realized that they were at the end of their money. And they had to wait for the next paycheck, and they didn't know what to do with the money that they had left. And they wanted to give to the church. They wanted to give to the Lord. What is his due? And so they trusted, and they tithed the money that they had left. After they had done that, they went home. A few days later, they got a check in the mail, rebates from some of the appliances that they had bought just recently for their marriage, appliances that amounted to much more than the money that they gave away. The Lord was asking them for an increase of trust. I remember a story of my own parents. My parents were asked one time by a Catholic high school, which I never attended, and they didn't have any kids at that school, but they were doing a fundraiser, and they came to my parents and asked them to give a certain amount of money for this fundraiser. And usually my parents are very thoughtful about their money. They're cautious about their money, but for some reason, just in that moment, they were inspired, and they left caution to the wind and said, "We want to help provide." Now, at the same time, they're trying to put my brother and I through college and help to pay for our college tuition. Well, my mom tells the story that the very next day, I was a freshman, the very next day, I called and told my parents that my scholarship had increased. And in fact, it had increased. The percentage that it had increased was the exact amount of money that they were asked to give to this fundraiser to improve Catholic education. The Lord was asking them to increase their trust. I remember a story of when I lived back in Bloomington. My sister-in-law was going through RCIA. And the priest at the church where she went through RCA was on a very poor side of the town, and this church is a poor parish, and they had all of these repairs to do, and so the priest there got an estimate on what he needed for those repairs. It came out to $48,700. He didn't know where that money was going to come from. They weren't that type of parish to just be able to come up with $48,700, and so he started to pray. He started to pray a rosary. He was going to pray a rosary every single day for that purpose. And on the third day of the rosary, there was an elderly couple that came to the parish, and they were starting to clear up their finances. They wanted to give their money away and see it put to good use before they died and not just give it away after their death. And they cashed out some of the bonds that they had. And they cashed out these bonds and they gave the priest a check. And the bonds amounted to exactly $48,700. The priest was asked to trust in the Lord, and his trust was increased that very day. I remember a story when I was living in South America. There was a poor man that came to my house a lot, and he just wanted some extra money. He wanted to be able to do jobs. He wanted to cut my grass. He wanted to do different things. He asked all the time for donations, just anything that we could give him. And I started a relationship with this guy, and he cut my grass a lot. I remember one day he came by, and his jeans were just torn, ratty. I mean, they weren't even fit to be worn anymore. And I remember he was asking for clothing. He was asking for different things. I went back inside and I gave him a pair of my jeans. And maybe it was nothing to me at that time. Y'all, the very next day, I received a package from the United States from my mother, and she got me a pair of jeans. This is something that I didn't even ask for. I wasn't even asking her for jeans. I didn't even know they were coming. And she had to send those jeans 3 weeks in advance for them to arrive on that day. The Lord was working on me. The Lord was helping me to build my trust. And that was a time when the Lord was asking me to trust him with my life, with becoming a priest. And that was one of the ways that the Lord showed me that he was trustworthy, that I could trust in him. Hopefully you have some stories to tell yourself. I would love to hear your stories. Maybe you can post them below this daily reflection. But the Lord is asking us to trust. He has given us faith. I know you have faith. I know you have faith. And today, once again, I'm inviting you to trust.